So this year, Oracle rebranded Java 1 and called it Oracle Code 1. And that was pretty much the running joke in every meeting when people got up in front of the camera. The keynote's no exception, where people are Java 1, no, it's Oracle Code 1. So in the last few years, I've done a recap after the conference, just to talk about how the conference was, just continue on with that. Okay, so the conference this year was set up, interesting enough, a month later than last year. Sometimes it actually went towards the end of October. And it did start off with a Java Champion Summit, we call it, where we met on a Saturday, basically getting a scoop of the conference before the conference, and then also having the ears of the Oracle executives to see what's going on. Kind of be the community representatives there. Also, and this was different too, during the Saturday and Sunday, they had the Java 1 for Kids, which meant all the Oracle champions couldn't volunteer for the Java 1 stuff. But it was okay. It was also down at Oracle headquarters, as opposed to the Moscone Center where it was in previous years. So I don't have, the last couple of years I actually participated in the Java 1 for Kids, which is basically, it's a one-day, this year was a two-day conference, where kids anywhere from middle school on up would be in labs or kind of a mini Java 1. And so it's really kind of cool. Lots of kids were there last year. I mean, they filled up, if you're familiar with Moscone Centers, I think it was the Moscone East section, which is above the Moscone South and North sections. It's on the far side, on the right, if you're walking north, sort of. Yeah, see, Steve's trying to figure out where is that? It's on the map. Let's see. Where it's circled there, the red star to the bottom right, that's where the Java 1. Okay, anyways, very big halls, 1,000 kids, kind of noisy. Sunday at the conference, there was nothing going on Sunday. We had our kind of an unconference thing going on with the Java champions because we were all hanging out. And we also started up with the dress rehearsal for the keynote stuff. And then, of course, Monday through Thursday, the conference ran. The Java Champions Summit actually was pretty cool. We got the panel here with, I don't know if they're name dropping, if any of these names mean anything, but George Asab is the VP of software development, so pretty cool guy. You get to talk to him, ask questions and whatnot. Michael, down at the bottom there, the mid-bottom there, he was the guy that was here last month talking to us, and basically he gave the same presentation, Java and containers. So that was, he talked to other people at that time. The licensing model, is everybody familiar with the new licensing model? New release factor, don't have to review that again. I heard it so many times. In fact, that was a major part of the discussion, is because for some reason, people in other countries kind of don't understand it, but after probably about April, if you're going to use this thing in production from Oracle, you got to pay for it. That's really what it comes down to. Now, other companies are offering a long-term support contract too at a much cheaper cost. And we may have a presentation from them next year. Plugs. Jakarta EE. Who remembers Jakarta EE? Is anybody using it? Oh, okay. Anyways, that's still with the Eclipse Foundation now, trying to bring it up to cloud standard, cloud computing stuff. Let's see. Yeah, the Java Champion Summit, there's some of the champions. Kirk Pepperdine, he's like the epitome of the Java performance man, garbage collector expert. But a good guy. He's actually back here in this. He's up in Montreal now. He was living in Europe for a while. Women in tech. This is a big thing that's going on because if you look around, we've got three women here tonight. So, and that's one of the things that has come up in all the stats. Now, it's nothing that, you know, it's there, and as a community, what can we do to help about this? And one of the things they talked about is like, you know, women in tech and diversity and conferences like JavaLand, but there's also organizations out there that are teaching young adults, teaching kids how to program and trying to keep the women still interested in programming when they get off into college, and then after college get a job. So it's one of those interesting things. There's a few Java champions that you may have heard about. Trisha G is one of the evangelists for JetBrains. So it's actually, she's extremely vocal, very knowledgeable, and energetic about stuff. Then we had a little session on the JUG evolution of Latin America. There again, anything south of the border, actually, if you go down to Middle America, South America, Mexico, but just how the JUGs are coming up to speed there. Brazil is actually like the world's largest JUG. In fact, if anybody was here when Bruno spoke about kind of job advocacy is how to get yourself better, make yourself better, get a better job, etc. He was one of the founders of the Brazilian JUG. And then an update on a micro profile, Java FX, and of course then the JCP Executive Committee. How many people know about Java FX? A few people, okay. Is it dead or alive?
It's alive.
It's alive. Yeah, no, Java FX. So the reason is it got separated from the JDK. It's a separate release cycle, and it's in the open realm now. But yeah, it's alive and well, and that was the big update. The guy from Gluon was giving a presentation about that. Gluon is interested because they're the ones that basically do the, you write it once and it runs on both iOS and Android. So it's a nice little app. I think the app for Oracle Code One was done by Gluon to keep track of your sessions and whatnot. Okay, JDK 11. Everybody on JDK 11 yet? Does anybody know you are? Wow.
Well, partially, it's part of the demo.
In production.
Oh, you gotta be picky.
How many people know about JDK 11? Same hands, okay. Okay, a few more. All right, so JDK, the release idea is every 6 months now. JDK 11 came out in September, and the next one will be out at the end of March, JDK 12. But this is the list of the JIPs from the JSRs. I think on the next page I'll give you the link to that. Not a lot of improvements here, and that's the idea about the frequent releases, is that instead of having a big monolithic release where, I think JDK 9, there were over 100 JIPs that got released, and it's like tracking everything, and everybody heard about the jigsaw, the big puzzle of how do you work with modules, and that's still a scary thing. So if anybody gets into production past JDK 9, let us know. You can give a presentation of how enjoyable that was.
We're supposed to go in this next release.
Next release? Is that in spring? Okay, cool.
I think it's March.
March? Just when JDK 12 comes out. You'll be ready. Okay. But interesting one in here, the 328 flight recorder got released. That comes up a little later. Okay, the openjdk.java.net. This is where you go to find out everything about OpenJDK. The Oracle differences between OpenJDK download and the Oracle download is like almost zero right now. I think JDK 12 it will be zero because they'll open sourced everything that they needed to open source. Okay, welcome to Code One. So, just a bunch of people, the Muskogee West hallway there, some of the friends coming up from the dress rehearsal there, and that is the Live for the Code sign. I still haven't figured out, it kind of looks like a C with a maze, but the gun abstract. The Monday keynote, this was the other difference thing at the conference. They did the keynotes in the evening. It was at, I think, one was at 6:30, one was at 7. It was very strange, and it also was like, went over the birds of the feather. They didn't stop any of the other evening stuff. So there was a kind of a distraction on that. But this is coming up based upon just the simple analysis I do year by year. You know, they say about 405 sessions, birds of the feathers, tutorials, and then the hands-on labs. So they did have some good hands-on labs. They were set up very nicely. Unfortunately, due to other commitments, I wasn't able to get to my hands-on lab. But the one I did attended last year, the language guys were still there, and they said it went over pretty good. This is the table that I threw up, and I decided after putting my head against numbers that weren't adding up to not worry about Monday through Thursday, telling you what happened, because none of the numbers would add up. So along the bottom, that basically, the totals, that's the number of sessions that were on the scheduler per day, and those add up to 635. And then the numbers on the right are basically per those sessions and tracks. Now, a lot of these things were running consecutively, and this is what the conference goers I talked to were basically complaining about. They would have a lot of good stuff all at the same time, and then a lot of not so good stuff all at the same time. So it was kind of interesting. But I was trying to do the 405 and adding all that came to 507. I added in the 3 keynotes, which gave it the 510 total unique sessions, based upon numbers from Oracle slide, as opposed to trying to figure it out on the session catalog. In the years previous now, this is the curiosity, so we've kind of built up more from 2015, which is pretty good. You know, when Oracle and Sun did the merge and Java 1 went through some changes, now finally they're no longer Java 1. The technical sessions have kind of increased, but they've also kind of diverged a bit. It's not all Java, but we see MySQL up there. A lot of sessions on the MySQL track, modern web track. Let's see, I was trying to think on the DevOps and the pipelines, which, here again, there are tools specifically built for those kind of things. So Java's the application that moves along the pipeline. Does anybody have any questions on this? Questions, comments? Okay. All right, this is one of the sessions I went to, contributing to mission control on the OpenJDK project. How many people know what mission control is? Okay. Flight recorder. Anybody heard of flight recorder? Okay. So mission control reads flight recorder stuff. Flight recorder records your flight. It's the Java performance recording mechanism. Like, instead of doing, heap dumps when there's a crash, just turn on the flight recorder and then you read all this stuff in the mission control. So this was a good session. This is about the open source community and how this is open source now. Take a look at it, figure out how to contribute to it. In fact, we've talked to members here in the San Diego area about what's the best way to get started in the Java land. These are people who are transitioning from one career to another, or just in college and trying to get ahead of the game. And it's to join the open source community and then figure out how to contribute there. And so this whole session was talking about that and contributing to the mission control. Now, the interesting thing about this one is that this flight recorder has been released, but mission control isn't. But you can go to the OpenJDK site and download the pre-release candidates to play around with this. This one won't be out in the open source area until the March, when the JDK 12 comes out. I do have the links on the slides, so when we post these to the website, you can go off and grab them. There's also, I'll switch this towards the end, all the videos that they did record mod rooms except for 24 are up on the main website and also on YouTube. The sessions, though, they just left the camera running, so it's an all-day session, like 8 hours of audio and video there. So you gotta go find your session in the session catalog, find the date, time, and the room, and then go to the video, find the room, day, and then kind of estimate along where the timeline is. Yes. The sessions are only 45 minutes, so you can kind of add it up, but you know, as I said, they leave it going, so you go have 15 minutes of blackness, or just nothing happening. Absorb stuff. This was a good one. The Java puzzlers. How many people like Java puzzlers? One? Well, okay, thank you. There will be a quiz on the next slide. These guys were great. The guy from JFrog and the Confluent guy, they actually do a very good presentation. So I'm trying to think. I think their video is online. So if you get a chance to watch it, you know, one guy, the Barack, is out there. Basically, he can't stand still. So I don't think he's on the camera most of the time. But they give a good talk, and it's very interesting stuff. This is the kind of interesting stuff here. So here you go. This is your question for the evening. Now, I know you've had pizza, it's been a long day, but the calculator, sprint, system.out.println is ultimate question 42, is ultimate question 42, no. Is ultimate question equals to false? What is the answer? Is it no? Won't compile? Is it 42? No pointer exception. I think I got the parentheses right. Oh. It's always bad when you're copying somebody else's slide. I should have just, well, I did screen capture it later. We'll see. So if I lead you astray, we'll know. So does anybody have is it number one? Just raise your hands. Okay, oh, okay, number two? Nobody likes won't compile. Okay, so will compile. I guess I got the parentheses right. Okay, 42. Does anybody know where the 42 number comes from? What? Okay, we got 1, 2, okay. Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, the answer. Okay, good, nod. No pointer exception. How many people say no pointer? Oh. We have a senior engineer in the room. Good. And the answer is no pointer exception. But do you know why? Go ahead.
Well, I don't know, it's just passing over the print lines, or I guess somewhere in there it's not happy about that.
Passing null in there is not some. Okay. So let's jump to the conclusion and see if anybody says, aha. Anybody remember bubble boxing? And then casting of bubble box? So the first, okay, 42 is an int. And no is no. Okay. But it's got to be boxed as an integer. And then when you go to the second part, you got int 42 and an integer. But it needs to be unboxed. Of course, it unboxes to null, and therefore no pointer exception. That's a Java puzzle. Those are good. They put out another one in there with bit shifting. Anybody remember bit shifting? Okay, yeah. I decided, yeah, I wouldn't show that one, it would be too boring. But this one is interesting, and some of them are, you know, esoteric. It's a matter of there is a bug in the language that, you know, when you get into overflow operations of integers, you get to the maximum and you add one to what happens. But it was good presentation. One of those things that I enjoyed. Keynote. This was the Tuesday keynote. We get up there and everybody's clapping about the community and whatnot, a lot of representation there. The information in the keynote, it is, you know, a lot of it is kind of like the hype, but it's kind of the excitement of what's new and what can you do with the stuff. Of course, a lot of it is pushing into the cloud space area. But at the community level, it's really good just because the community is still vibrant, it's still growing. Yay, community. So, yeah, I've got to have my picture with Duke. One of the activities that I was in charge of was the Oracle Cloud DJ. I met this cool guy. I can't remember his name. I should have looked it up. Sorry. Yeah, so having lots of fun. So he basically likes to teach kids how to program, but to keep them interested, he wrote a program that plays music. And so you get up there and you can kind of see on the upper right corner is a screen, and the code is up in there, and it's just being executed. And you can go in there and change it, and it recompiles on the fly and changes the beat or the rhythm or the solo. And he's making music. So he's up there kind of like a DJ doing the record scratching, but he's actually just punching in code. And it was really, really kind of cool. And he did this one day for like 8 hours straight. Yeah, I don't know, the guy's a maniac. But all kinds of good stuff came out. The other stuff, they still had this is called the Hub. Basically, you go hang out with smart people, and or you know, play games. They had an escape room there, so you had to go in and solve some Java puzzles to get out of the escape room. Unfortunately, one guy actually brought a screwdriver, and he disassembled the escape room. Oh, hardware, software, yes. All right, now we jump into, let's see if this will work. Okay, so one of my community presentations was on how to run a users group. And so I threw together slides, just like you saw earlier. This is the fun part, to just run through it. Yeah, the intro, the timeline. If you notice the time, it's the 45-minute duration. So 10:50, I get to set up the equipment. 11 o'clock, they turn the meeting on. 11:45, they actually do kick you out. Yes. Our short break, 11:30, 1 minute. Yeah. Same mission, same member stuff. Oracle, they didn't actually sponsor us, but the announcements, my bio again. Thank you to ResMed. I always thank ResMed. But the big thing was, what's it take to run a users group? And this is where the community aspect comes in, because there are a lot of people out there who are running groups or trying to reinvigorate their group or start a group. In South America, they're still starting groups up in various countries. Now, I kind of put it down to the preparation, prologue, beginning, middle, the end, and of course the follow-up. But there is the pre-preparation. Where are you going to meet? If you're going to start a new group, where are you going to meet up? So Ian went through this with the Kotlin users group. He basically started that one up. He was meeting over at his facility, which was where he was teaching kids how to program, and then finally ended up with a nice sponsor, kind of like the equivalent of ResMed, but over in the Surrender Valley area. Fixed date, time constants, and of course you need slides. How do you show people stuff? How many people like fixed location, fixed time, fixed date? Okay, cool. How many people have gone to meetups that are kind of, they're gypsies? They go from day to day or time to time or location to location. Has anybody done that maybe? Okay. So, all right, good. We'll stick with this place this time. Preparation, speakers, sponsors, and publish. We have to publish stuff. If you haven't seen our publish, it's up on YouTube. It's up on our website. You can go to previous meetings, which will have links. Sponsors, of course, like, okay, you guys will sponsor next month, and maybe later, K-Force thing. I'll get your cards. Speakers. It's almost like a feast or famine with speakers. For a while there, we had speakers lined up for 6 months, and now I don't have anybody. So it's like, okay. But I got some some people on tap, but as always, use your help if you want to talk. That's good. That's why I say it's sometimes a speaker will contact you and you contact them, or sometimes I give a talk. And I need to do more talks if you guys like some of this stuff. Prologue, it's the setup. You know, if somebody asks to help, yes, please. Food and drink, and then what's on the screen, the beginning, we did that. The good stuff, that's the content. That's where, you know, things happen. Let's see, and of course, enjoy your pizza. Oh yeah, what was that one? What to do if the speaker does not show up? Besides enjoy your pizza. Does anybody remember we were over at, where was that place? By the Costco on Marina Boulevard? Yeah. Couch. And we were having the pizza, the speaker didn't show up, and I was like, okay. And then you know, we wait a little bit, and I get a phone call. It says he's at the border crossing. I says, oh yeah, he's on the wrong side of the border. Without his passports. He missed the turnoff. He was with his family, they were just coming down visiting, that's why he was able to go talk. He was from Wells Fargo. And he missed the turnoff, even missed the last exit of the United States. Thought he could U-turn over at the border, and he didn't run back in. So he was stuck at the border crossing for 3 hours. I got this after the fact. And finally, I mean, basically he's there with his wife, 2 screaming kids. He finally let him go. But in the meantime, I got slides, I got pizza, and there were a few comments on the slides, so we just showed them and had a good time. That was one of the better, more enjoyable ones, I think, right, Steve?
It was certainly one of the more memorable ones, watching you go from someone else's slides, as I recall, you hadn't even seen before. That was really impressive.
So we might want to do that. We'll have the speakers and now switch slides. Switch presentations. Try it. Okay, wrapping it up. Keep an eye on the time. Yeah, is anybody monitoring the time for me? Okay, I'm sort of on time, I think. And then, of course, the drawing and the cleanup. Oh, and thank the speaker. Yes, the follow-up, thank you notes, usually a pretty good thing. And then, of course, put video and slides and everything else up on the webpage. Now, here's the cool thing. 20 years in meetings. So I've been involved with the users group for 20 years. And then we started taking pictures around 2002, I think. And I think, Tom, you'll see yourself in a few of these, if you haven't already. There you are. We met over at the Oracle place at UTC before we moved out to some place at UTC, and then Sun/Oracle, sort of in the same area, and then over at Marina Boulevard, and then here. In between, we met at some other locations, like I think there was a training center off of Mira Mesa Boulevard. We had to meet a couple of times. And then I think this last October meeting, that was the first time we met at a guest location in quite a while. Some of the numbers, over 200 meetings, 300 presenters. Smallest attendance was 6. That's pretty much at the very beginning at the library in Scripps Ranch. There was no pizza at that time. The largest meeting, like 100, over 100, James Gosling came in, and we actually set up the Intuit building to host the meetup at that point. And then 2,000 pizzas plus, I guess, 13 more. A lot of pizzas have been consumed here. And some chicken and ribs thrown in every now and then. And that was it. And that pretty well wraps up the talk. Any questions? Okay. So we'll go ahead and take a few minute break here, get some more pizza, and then we'll start over again with Steve.